Hi everyone. As you know, today is Veterans Day. So I want to give a big salute and thank you to all of our veterans who have served or are currently serving for our country. We are proud of you, and America could not do without your service. Thank you for that. In being Veterans Day, it made me think a lot about our vets and how not only when they're on the field and in combat, that they have to go through and work through significant stressors to be in an environment that is completely consuming them in terms of just being on fight or flight mode constantly. But when they return home, a common diagnosis associated with our vets is PTSD. Unfortunately, a lot of veterans come back due to witnessing and experiencing direct violence and or witnessing direct violence from their friends who they served alongside with, or hearing more stories in addition to that from loved ones and friends and family. This combination creates a lot of intensified feelings that they have to manage on their own once they're back home. And if you think about it, going from one extremely intense environment to then coming back to the norm and reality can be completely overwhelming. The transition is a significant change that needs time, effort, with the help of others to support them along the way in making that change. Just think of yourself starting a new job. It's completely overwhelming to adapt to a new environment, learn the ins and outs of everyday functioning when you're used to a certain role previously. Common symptoms associated with PTSD is very commonly is that they feel and experience flashbacks, nightmares of the events that have occurred that relive like a tape in their head over and over again. They also experience some type of hypervigilance, or they assume that the environment is a threat. So, for example, a door that bangs or hearing someone talking very loudly can be very overwhelming for these individuals, and they have a heightened sense of that, and they get very overwhelmed, anxious, and experience a lot of different emotions that to you or I might seem out of the norm, but for them it's their normal reaction in order to cope with what they've been through. In addition to that, they might experience an opposite effect where they are emotionally numb and they've just been through so much that it becomes this fight, flight, or freeze response. So it's this freeze response that they need in order to cope. So everything shuts down, turns off. Oftentimes, it might even be that they experience some type of dissociation where they are not even in the moment. They're not in reality. Their mind is just out somewhere else, not attuned to the here and now. All of these are common symptoms that relate to PTSD. Oftentimes, too, it can relate in mood swings, irritability. At times, too, it can be so intensified and overwhelming for that person that unfortunately they might become suicidal as well as a result of that. Oftentimes, they might turn to substances in order to cope with the overwhelming nightmares and flashbacks that they experience. So all these criteria that they go through are common symptoms associated with PTSD. Therefore, they need the support of friends and family to help them cope, along with also getting mental health services in the community to help them work through and process it. EMDR is a big strategy that can be utilized. Also accessing services, individual and group therapies through the VA, family therapy to try to reestablish the family systems and family dynamic that exists now that the vet has returned to their family, are all great strategies that can be very beneficial. Pharmaceuticals can also be beneficial as well if the person is having trouble sleeping, eating, is very depressed, very overwhelmed, can't sustain life's daily lifestyle functionings because of this. And just so they know, it is something that is treatable, is manageable, but it does take time, and it's not something that you can just undo with a quick fix. They have to rework their whole mind, rewind the tape that exists, and try to interject some good, happy memories, and try to rework those negative memories that they have, those nightmares that are consuming to them, and try to relive their story in a different, fulfilled way. That they can interject happy memories, that they then know if they're feeling really overwhelmed, if there are certain triggers, and they avoid certain people, places, or things because it's too overwhelming for them, that they learn gradually how to reintegrate themselves into their environment. So again, I just wanted to take the time to briefly discuss PTSD, and also to just as a reminder that the suffering doesn't stop when vets are in combat, and we need to remember to help in any way that we can when they're back home with us. They served us, now it's our time to serve them. Take care, and happy Veterans Day.